This assertion that progress is a delusion rests on unimpeachable evidence. It's true that the idea of progress had a hard time in the 20s in the immediate aftermath of World War I. However, after the Second World War, the idea of progress, which you might have expected to make the idea of progress more untenable than ever, made a startling comeback for very interesting reasons. I think in part because it now seemed to be the only antidote to complete despair, but also in part because, after all, devastating as World War II was, and deeply disturbing as all of its revelations about the capacity of organized, highly civilized societies to perpetrate the most barbarous things, still the economic boom that followed World War II was absolutely unprecedented. And it was a, not just an American thing, but a tremendous period of economic expansion in which all industrial nations were caught up. Democratic forces in American society in the 19th century, democratic with the small d, were not necessarily friends of improvement. We tend to think of that the more democratic, the more committed you are to radical democracy, the more you're likely to be progressive. But these were not by any means equivalent in the 19th century. In fact, if anything, the reverse. The democratic forces in American society were craftsmen, artisans, small businessmen, farmers, whose mode of production was in serious jeopardy, who were perceived themselves threatened by the tendency toward large-scale production. And not only for that reason, but for others as well, were very dubious about the assumption that the general movement of history is always upward and onward.
How can you write, how can you teach, if you do not believe in the idea of progress?
Because I believe in hope as opposed to optimism. The terms don't mean anything, but the state of mind that they're meant to capture, that this distinction is meant to capture, is a real difference. Optimism, as I call it, is the state of mind of people who believe in progress. It depends on a certain reading of history and the assumption that no matter what happens, and with minor setbacks, things are going to get better. So I think of hope as it's as this description may suggest, it's a religious quality. It doesn't need to be attached to any formal creed, but it is the state of mind that I think religious traditions refer to when they talk about faith. Sort of rock-bottom beliefs is that people should assume the responsibility for their own actions, or a belief that strong families are good things. These beliefs are still quite widespread in our society, which gives me some hope that it's not utterly utopian to think that they might be due for a revival. On the contrary, what may be happening is that the age of production for mass markets may be reaching its end. It's possible that more and more production is going to have to be geared to highly specialized markets for which the old techniques of mass production, Fordism, assembly line, where you turn out masses of standardized and uniform products. Maybe that is coming to an end. Several, serious economists have argued to this effect. There are parts of the world, there's a revival of sort of small-scale, almost artisanal production in northern Italy, for example, which is highly compatible with the most advanced technology. The recent industrial history of Japan suggests a somewhat similar combination. An attempt to pursue that vision much further, a vision that, again, is premised on sort of unlimited resources, unlimited capacity of the Earth's ecology to sustain this kind of production, almost unlimited American power in the world. Those are all, I think, demonstrably untenable assumptions, premises, and an attempt to sustain our present way of life in the face of those tremendous difficulties can only result in disaster, I think.